What if Issei fell into his darkness? The finale. Now, if you guys actually been with me over this What If channel, we basically kind of discussed about in the first part that Issei fell into his darkness. So this is the final part of the What If, and I hope you guys actually enjoy. Starting off, we would have actually gotten ourselves into the Loki arc, as actually this arc plays quite similar here, but also quite different. Once actually they is sent to actually defeat Loki, this is where actually Issei would have actually fought actually alone with actually Loki here. And once he gets attacked by Fenrir, it's really actually different. He doesn't even think actually Konako for saving him. He just goes hopping into the fight, just fighting Loki. And this is where Issei will fight in a brutal way. He's just shooting attacks here towards Loki, and the attacks are really destructive here, to the point where he's putting his own actually comrades at risk. But everything would actually play similar to where actually Issei would have gotten bit by Fenrir, and also actually to the point where actually he summoned actually Thor's hammer, sealing him away. So everything would have actually played similar to the anime. Now we would actually have ourselves the Deodora arc, but also that still plays the same, but actually Issei is far more distant away from the girls than in the anime. Heck, they're even trying to get close to him, but Issei is not actually allowing that. He's staying far away from them. Time passed, and we would have actually just had actually just the Kyoto arc, and the Kyoto actually plays a lot actually differently here in this anime, because actually Issei is actually giving more into his darkness. He's becoming more powerful here. He's actually working in so many abilities that actually he didn't even know was possible. For one, he's able to actually create concept of darkness just out of actually his pure energy alone. His another darkness, he's able to summon these shadow creatures that's actually coming out of him here, that embodiments actually his emotion. If he's feeling angry, a monster will come out just actually of hatred. If he's feeling actually kind of like depression, a monster would have actually come out of him, actually consume actually the place with despair. So basically, he's just gaining so much abilities here that it's actually kind of like crazy. So once the hero faction finally actually has their encounter with the Red Dragon Emperor, yeah, it's not pretty. Issei shows them no mercy, and he actually basically beats them to a bloody pulp, to the point they actually try to run away, but Issei is not allowing that. He basically gives them a beating to the point where actually, heck, even actually Wukong had to actually come in to somewhat actually stop Issei, because actually he's somewhat actually kind of like has actually a relationship with actually Cao, but like still, heck, once Issei stops and once they actually retreats, they're basically just terrified, and like they don't even want to go near him again. So time passed, and we would have actually just had the Cyborg arc, and now things plays a lot differently. You see, once actually Reyes actually asks Issei about actually what he thinks about her, Issei at this point is just, he's just frozen. He doesn't know what to say. He's having flashback of Reina, like he's just thinking of that actually night, the night that she killed him. What if he actually said something wrong? What if actually she doesn't love him? But if she does, this will change everything. But he doesn't know what to feel here. There can only be one right answer, but he doesn't even know it. Issei somewhat actually has feelings for Reyes, but he's pushing them all aside. He doesn't want that the same feeling to come back, to resurface again. He's trying to compress it as much as he can, but it's somewhat actually coming up to the surface here. So with this, Issei actually needs to give a response. And with this, he will say the same thing in the anime, that he sees her as the president. Reyes would have actually gotten so sad and angry, leaving the room in tears and calling him an idiot. Arthur would have actually chased after Reyes and also scolding Issei, like saying, "How could you?" The rest of the club would actually kind of like scold Issei as well, saying actually how dense he is, how actually pathetic he doesn't even realize like Reyes' feelings and even theirs. Issei was actually just looking at the floor. His mind, it was basically going all over the place. It was crazy. He was hearing all these thoughts of what they were saying. Issei was actually having the actually thoughts of Reina. All this actually hatred, all this actually this love of comfort. It was all resurfacing right here. He said something wrong. He knows he did. He offended all of them. cracks could have been actually hurt to where Issei's vision started to go red and like he looked around the whole room. Everybody would have just looked at him in disappointment, but they actually looked different. In Issei's eyes, they looked like they're actually kind of like shadow people with actually like white lifeless eyes here, and like they basically shows that of hatred and discomfort, and Issei can sense the negative emotions, calling him an idiot and calling him stupid, of course, and to a point where actually Issei can hear another crack and another and another, and to the point it just cracks. Issei would have looked around the whole room to see he was the only one standing there, and everybody was gone. He just went and grabbed his bag and he just left the school. He didn't actually care that actually he had other works to do for actually the festival, but he just needed to get out of school. Once he was out, he went to the fountain where actually Rainer first killed him, his first ever love. And actually Issei's mind just says like, I guess it's true. Moving forward, we would have actually had the fight, the rating game between Reyes and Cyberorg. But the thing is, Issei would not be there. He would be missing actually, and Reyes would have actually been worried for him, of course. And the rest of the other girls, cause like, from actually what actually they said, like, they felt bad for saying something like that to Issei, but it needed to be said. He needed to actually hear their true feelings, but they didn't actually think that Issei would not show up for the rating games. People came here just to see him. Heck, Cyberorg was actually just excited just to fight him, so it wasn't like actually he just went and quit. But they needed to continue here. Issei would have actually been actually from afar, just like making his way towards the stadium. He would have actually been whispering something to himself.
Juggernauts, destroy.
Making his way, and to eventually he would have actually reached actually to the entrance of actually the rating game, to where everybody would have actually seen him. He was different. Well, not really different, but he seemed so gloomy, looking at the ground. Everybody was just cheering for him that the Red Dragon Emperor has finally arrived. But Issei was not hearing the voice. He was just hearing the voice of Rainer. Hearing the voice how actually it was all true, and hearing the voice of the people from the Booster Gear to awaken the Juggernaut drive. So once actually he stands next to Reyes here, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say a word at all to any of them here. So once actually it was his turn to fight, basically Issei fought cruel, and he absolutely just blasted his first opponent away, not even giving her a chance to even somewhat do her thing. He just blasted her away. The same fight would have actually still been the same, but for Issei it will be a complete massacre, like a complete one-sided fight. He would have absolutely teared them apart. He would have actually showed them brutal beating, no mercy, not at all. To the point where actually they were all afraid. Even his fans was even afraid of him. They even stopped cheering for him because like this was not the Red Dragon Emperor that they knew, that they cared for. It was different. And Reyes and the rest realized that Issei is changing. He's completely different. So once actually the fight with Cyberorg happens, the fight would have still remained the same. But this is actually where Cyberorg would have knocked Issei onto his actually back, and this is where Issei would have actually been chanting the Juggernaut drive in his head. Once actually in his mindscape, he would have actually seen the people in the booster gear chanting Juggernaut drive, and heck, Issei would have actually been consumed by if it wasn't actually the White Dragon Emperor, saying actually how he didn't need that power, of course, and heck, he would have actually just made his new chant right here, but completely different. Issei would have actually realized that he actually is not perfect, that he doesn't need anyone, he doesn't need Reyes, he doesn't need any of the girls, so he abandons all of that, and he takes the title of the new Red Dragon Emperor of destruction itself. So with this, Issei would have actually chanted actually his new Juggernaut drive chant, or actually his Crimson Cogno promotion, whatever, and it would be actually of a dark one. A dark aura would have surrounded Issei, and he would have actually been in his actually armor, completely different to where actually he would have actually had black armor with also red actually lining on it here. It's still the same but with dark colors. So he would absolutely destroy Cyber left and right, throwing actually punches, blasts, and they would completely eradicate actually, not really eradicate Cyber completely, but to the point where actually it would leave him on a condition where he was no longer able to fight. So once Issei deactivates his actually Crimson Cognitive Promotion, his hair is black and his eyes is actually red. And there's something else. He grew black wings, that of a fallen angel. He has it here. Like, he went through an evolution. It was a surprise. Everybody was completely surprised. What were they supposed to think? Even Azazel was so confused about this here. So once actually the fight was actually over, and once Issei tries to leave, Surzex will pull him aside. Of course, he wanted to talk to Issei because Issei wasn't himself. Everybody can realize this. Something happened. So once actually Surzex asks what's actually happened to him, Issei didn't say anything that it doesn't concern Surzex, but Surzex says he is concerned for Issei because he sees him as a brother. But actually Issei said that he's no longer his brother. Heck, he didn't even consider him a brother, of course. He doesn't even actually have any respect for him, of course, because actually how much of a leader he really is. He's a weak, pathetic leader, of course, who couldn't even control his own faction. Surprised by this, he just steps back. Surprised by what Issei said. Issei said he has no connection towards any of them. And Reyes asks, what is Issei talking about here? She tries to lay actually a hand on his shoulder, but Issei was just slap it away, saying to Reyes, don't touch actually him. And he even calls her even filth. Reyes was quite surprised, and she was saying to Issei, what's gone over him? What happened? And Issei says like life happens. He doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need any of them now. He basically doesn't need Reyes here. He basically tells her that he has no feelings for her. And actually, heck, she should just move on because actually he doesn't even like her. He just sees her as an annoying pest. This really broke Reyes to the point where she just went up crying. And Sir Zex would have been actually angry by what Issei said and told Issei that he should apologize to Reyes right now, but Issei looked at Sir Zex in a cold glaze and tells him to shut up. He tells him right there that nobody can tell him what to do. He's doing whatever he wants now. So once Issei gets back to Kuryu Academy, he basically kind of like leaves the group of actually the Grimoires. He kind of becomes a stray actually. And heck, Issei starts living on his own for a few months actually. He doesn't need anyone. All he needs is just him, Dreg, and himself. He's actually going on his own journey to become the strongest here. He doesn't need any romantic feelings, no nothing. They will all end up betraying him in the end. It's the truth. Reina was right. Sometimes would have actually passed and like heck, Issei would have actually developed his skills dramatically, and heck, they would have still probably announced Issei to be a runaway stray, and this would have actually leave Reyes and the rest of the girls broken, and to the point where they just think that they were the reason that actually caused Issei to fall to this dark side of his. So, some time would have actually passed. Issei would have actually been at the underworld. Not the underworld actually as the devil region, but Tartarus here. It's already been actually a few years. A year and a half actually. Issei would have been looking at actually Hades. And he would have actually kind of been actually stepping on actually his actually basically body here. He basically told Hades how pathetic he really is. Sometimes past, Issei found out that the Hades was part of the Chaos Brigade. Now, Issei is not completely evil. No, he's not evil. He's just given into his darkness. His darkness, easy way to acquire power, things like that. So, this is where we actually really are. So, Issei would have actually been stepped over Hades' body, sitting on his throne, looking at the whole underworld, and he just thinks like, so this is how the King of Death actually feels. This is how the King of Death actually kind of looks at actually his new kingdom. I think I'll be taking this as a bunch of Reapers, even at these soldiers of Hades, tries to attack Issei, but he would just release his own inner darkness to the point it made all of them shiver. and heck, they all bowed down to him, and Issei would have actually just killed Hades at that point, even taken his power even. And this would have actually alerted even the Greek faction that actually Hades had been killed by the Red Dragon Emperor. So now what? They need actually a new god of Tartarus, and Issei says like, yeah, he doesn't mind taking over Hades' job. I mean, he did kill the guy, so at least he needs to pay the Greek faction back. So heck, they were actually kind of happy because like heck, the Red Dragon Emperor on their side, that's actually alright to them here. And heck, they somewhat actually kind of tried to make Issei a god, but he was not about that kind of life. So seeing this, word would have gotten around that Issei defeated Hades, and actually it would have reached to the devil world, and heck, they will be surprised by this to the point where Issei became actually the god of death in actually Greek Tartarus. Heck, they were quite surprised by that, and like they didn't even know what to do but to actually increase his actually rank to a triple S stray devil here, because Issei regardless was still a stray devil. So time would have passed, and Issei would have been approached by actually Orpheus, and Orpheus would have offered Issei power for him to actually kind of like defeat Great Red, but Issei would have taken that power and he would have actually put a stop to the Chaos Brigade, of course. He saw them as just an annoying pest, and he told Orpheus that she doesn't need a group like this, that she needs actually someone who is willing just to actually obey actually her actually commands and orders, and not to use her for her powers here. So with this, Issei says that heck, he will actually kind of like help Orpheus regain her home, but of course he needs power, and Orpheus would have actually agreed on this, and some more times would have passed. Remember, Issei already defeated the Chaos Brigade to the point, but not all of them. They're actually considered in hiding, of course, because they are all afraid of Issei. The Issei would have spent more years actually with Orpheus, trying to harness actually the power of infinity to the point he's actually already past Orpheus' level. So with this, he would go to the dimensional gap and he would challenge Great Red, and him and actually Issei would have actually fought for a while, and eventually Issei would have won here, but he wouldn't actually kill Great Red. He would have just taken some of his power, becoming actually the true Red Dragon Emperor, pretty much actually a god even, the Red Dragon Emperor of actually like god of destruction, of evil, or something like this here. He becomes actually the dragon god of destruction or domination, to the point where actually heck, he just actually gives Orpheus back his home, and he returns back to Tartarus, and everybody knows now that Issei defeated Great Red here, and his power is absolutely on a whole different level. So with this is actually the end of actually what if Issei gave in to his inner darkness. Yeah guys, I know this is actually quite of a crazy what if that I actually done. Like, it's completely removes the fact that Issei ends up with no one in the end, because let's be for real, Issei has already went to the dark part where he has no feelings for any girls right now, because like come on guys, if you were actually Issei at that point, yeah, you will not love again. I kept it 100% real. Issei will not love again. He will only focus on his training to become the best, defeat Hades and take his kingdom, defeat Great Red to the point where he becomes even the dragon god, of course, and he doesn't even take the dimensional gap. He just gives it to Orpheus. He doesn't even kill Great Red. He returns back to Tartarus and continues his job there. So like, yeah, this actually what if was a strange one, but also an interesting one here. Hope you guys like it. But also, I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my boys here. His name is Jacob. He pretty much actually gave me a great Bell Danmachi what if idea, or what if Bell was actually the son of Artemis here. I was thinking of something, doing something like that, but I kind of like changed it up. So I kind of like made a what if. Well, I didn't make it, but I've actually already recorded of what if Bell was born with Arcanum. So thank you, Jake. You're really much of a big help in actually my what if community here. So actually, guys, with that out of the way, this is actually pretty much actually the end of the story, the end of the what if. And I'm Ultra Anime. I'm logging out. Peace.